Okay, we're live. Hello, everybody. This is, I'm keeping an eye on the live show so I can mute it when it starts playing. But this is, hello, everybody, a discussion, there it is, with Kelsey, also known this way, Kelsey, also known as KJ Sutton, who is the author of many books. The ones we will especially be talking about today is the Fortuna Sworn series. If any of you guys don't know what that is, it is a fairy romance. Let's see if I can do the synopsis real quick. It's a fairy romance about a supernatural creature called Fortuna Sworn, who is a nightmare, which means that she can manifest other people's nightmares, like the things that they're scared of. And her brother went missing 2 years prior to the start of the first book without a trace, and she has lost all hope of finding him until a very powerful fairy male appears and says that he will lead her directly to her brother, providing that she marries him. So, yeah, did I do all right?
You did great. I could have done a better job.
So we also have Ashleigh down here from A Frolic Through Fiction. Do you want to introduce yourself, Ashleigh, even though everybody knows who you are pretty much?
I'm Ashleigh from A Frolic Through Fiction, usually reading fantasy. Big fan of the series. I don't know what else to say.
Cool. So this event was supposed to be on the release date of Deadly Dreams, but sadly it was pushed back a little bit. So, Kelsey, do you know? Yeah, I heard you were on the phone to Amazon about it.
I was, yeah. Just because, so I got down to the wire, and I don't know how much you guys know about the indie side of things, but there comes a point where you can actually see a timer clicking or ticking down on the upload page. So I wanted to do another round of edits, and the timer had 6 hours left on it. And so I was like, nope, I need more time. So then I pushed, or on Amazon, I pushed the date just to make the timer go up. And then I thought, oh, I'll upload it and then hit publish now, and then it'll be up on December 1st. But Amazon didn't like that, and they said, no, we're not going to let you do that. So,
yeah. So it's is it the 3rd of December now?
Yeah. The book is uploaded and all that, but they won't make it live until the 3rd. So
cool. So there is
what, Ashleigh?
Not too long to wait though.
Yeah.
No.
This is just a couple more days. Hi, everybody.
Excited for everybody to get their hands on it. I feel like it's going to be good. I've started it, but I'm only a little bit of the way in. But let's just start with we're going to do no spoilers in this, and if we refer to anything that's happened in the first 2 books, we'll do it kind of vaguely and strip all context from it. Just so that, because I know there's quite a few people who are my subscribers who haven't quite caught up yet.
Yep.
But what can we expect from the 3rd book?
Okay, I've never done talked about the 3rd book in a series, so this will be interesting. What can you expect? There is going to be a new villain, of course, and I've mentioned before that this new villain, if you are familiar with Fae lore and if you like to read a lot of fairy mythology, you will recognize this character. It's the character's gender bent, so the person doesn't show up as the sex they usually do in Fae lore. So that is something you can expect. Becca, you did disappear. I don't know if you know that.
It's having connection issues, but
I'll keep babbling. What else can you expect? There's going to be a lot more Coleth and Lori. There's going to be, it's just me and Ashleigh now.
Hi, this is on Becca's channel, but she's not here.
And then there are a lot of answered questions in this book, in the 3rd book. In the first one, you don't quite know a lot of the history behind Coleth and Lori. And you also don't quite know Coleth's motives for a lot of what he does, which I know has angered some people. But this is the book where a lot of it is revealed. So
I'm excited. Everything you said about the villain being if you know the lore, you'll be able to find them. I'm just I need to know what this is.
I can't wait to see what you think. I'm I don't know if you're supposed to say this, but I am so nervous for what people will think about this book.
I feel it's just standard though. Every time you created something and putting it out in the world, it's just such a scary moment. But
yeah. Something about this one, I don't know why it feels worse. Maybe again because it's the first time I've ever attempted a series, and so this is the 3rd book, and it's very new for me. So Yeah. Hi, Becca.
Hey, my computer decided that it was going to run out of application memory and just cut off the one thing that I was actually using that was open on my computer. So I've closed a few things, and hopefully that will stop happening.
Somebody who's just asked if this is the last book in the series.
No. There are 6. And yeah, a few more. I have all of the books planned out. I've had them planned out since the beginning. So I do know, actually, someone just asked me today, like, do you think there's a possibility of there being more than 6? And I am like, I can tell you I'm 99% certain 6 is going to be the number.
I was going to say, like, do you know where all, like, this entire series is going to end? Are you already striving for that point?
Not only do I know how it's going to end, I have huge chunks of every book written. Like, so I have the climax of book 6 written. So yes, it's all.
I'm scared.
I bet it's also really fun to see people react to the early books, though, because you know how it's going to end and you alone know that. So it must be so interesting seeing theories and stuff.
It's fun seeing theories, and it's also fun seeing you guys get mad because I'm like, oh, you don't even know. Like, if you're mad about this.
I can't remember what upset me. It was probably Restless Slumber, but you kept telling me, like, it's gonna be okay. Like, it will be okay. Calm down. And I'm like, it's the worst thing. Why is this happening?
Your blog was
I'm very emotionally attached to all of the characters and everything that's going on.
I will tell you guys, like, this, I don't think this is spoiling things. By book 6, by the very end, there are going to be some major character deaths, like deaths. So just prepare yourselves for that.
No.
Okay, I'm seeing some questions here. I'll try to take a look at the comments.
So somebody said, do you know when the paperback will be out? Because I know that was pushed back, wasn't it, a little bit?
Yes, it was. The reason for that being I signed with an audiobook publisher for the entire series, which is wonderful, but I guess it's an industry standard, which I wasn't aware of, that usually the audiobook and the physical are released at the same time. So it was at the request of the audiobook publisher that I push the release of the paperback so that they could record the audiobook. So that's why. And Dreamscape said that they hope to have the audiobook finished by end of January or February.
So not too long, like a few months. It's not devastatingly long time.
It is. I understand why they need so much time. I mean, it's a 500-page book, so that's going to take some time for the narrator to read.
Yeah. Something that I definitely noticed is the length of this one. Like, it is considerably bigger than the first one. With you already knowing, like, how things are going to end, and, like, are we going to get progressively bigger as it goes on?
I hope not.
I mean, I hope that you do, because I like really big books.
Oh my gosh, they're so big. I thinking of the plot of book 4, I don't think it's going to be longer. I don't think I'm going to ever be able to write a short book again, but yeah. Let me see.
Just looking in the. Somebody said, if you're new to Fae lore, is it still like a great villain if you don't know anything about Fae lore?
Well, it depends on your definition of great. This villain, which I know that Becca and Ashleigh love, is very, very gray, meaning that this villain is not completely evil, but no, not good.
Is it the one that's gender bent?
Yes, that's correct.
I think I know who that is now, actually.
Do you really? Oh, because that's right. You've been reading it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I'm really excited, actually. Oh, yeah, I'm excited now.
I really want, like, because I'm really bad at theorizing. Becca knows this, and, like, I just miss the most obvious stuff. And because you've said that if it's in Fae lore, you'll know it, and I'm just like, I know lore. Like, why can I not think of anybody? So I have a feeling I'll see this character and just be like, oh.
Like, even Cassandra Clare has had this character depicted in her books. So,
okay.
What's that going to tell you?
Yeah, the character is associated with, like, a certain group as well, and the group has been in, like, a lot of stuff.
Yep.
The group is in Nevermore, which is a children's series. It's
let me see. Do you know in the paperback? Sorry, I'm just reading the comments here.
I can just see what we've got. Are you considering writing other books in this world, like prequels and such?
You know, I've considered it because I don't know if you've read the books, but it's a really big cast. And there's so many side characters or supporting characters that I've just absolutely fallen in love with. So the idea has like entered my mind, but I don't have anything that I've felt like I'm definitely going to write that as a spin-off series, or I haven't felt the absolute urge to explore that.
Is it hard keeping like the right amount of characters on the page? Because like you said, there are so many of them that I imagine it's quite hard to be like, oh, we need to bring this one back for a bit, but then not make them seem sidelined at any point.
That's actually a huge challenge I had for Deadly Dreams. This is the biggest, cast of characters I've ever attempted in a book. And not only like are there several characters, but at this point you should know them pretty well too. So it was a challenge to continue developing them and to make them consistent with who I've created them to be. And then also like I don't think this is a spoiler. There's a dinner scene in Deadly Dreams where like there's a table of 12 people, which was like the trickiest thing I've ever written. What was the question?
How to keep track of them all.
Are you considering writing other books in this world, like prequels and such?
Not right now, I'm not. I will say that it's not completely off the table because I love so many of the supporting characters.
Chloe has asked, are you going to be writing from other characters' perspectives?
I might do that someday as like a bonus chapter. Like, if I ever re-release Fortuna Sworn, I might like have the first chapter from Kala's perspective or something just for the fun of it. So that's also not off the table. It's not something I'm doing right now because I'm working on Fortuna Sworn, but it is something I've thought about.
I would love, without like giving context or spoilers, I would love a chapter or like a short story from the perspective of Colin or Laurie about the other one.
That would
be like, I get like their thoughts about what they're actually thinking, because obviously everything's from Fortuna's perspective and there's something up there, but nobody quite knows what it is just yet.
Which you'll find out in the third book.
I'm so excited. Midnight Moon has asked if the first book is still available to buy physically, and I think it is. Am I right? Yeah, you can still get it.
Books 1 and 2 are definitely out and available. Yeah.
What inspired you to write Fortuna's story?
So the way I always answered this one is I knew I wanted to write an adult book, and I knew I wanted to be fairies because I'm obsessed with all of that, like we all are probably here. And so I have this running Google Doc that I have been creating since I was a teenager. And so I have this Google Doc has character names, it has, first pages, it has just basic plot ideas, it has first sentences. So anyway, I went into that document and I read the compilation of first sentences I've created. And one of those sentences was, "They put me in a cage," which, as you two know, is the first line of Fortuna Sworn. So I had the basic knowledge of, I'm going into this knowing it's fairies, it's adults. This is the first sentence because I think it's very intriguing. And so Fortuna was probably the most vivid character from the get-go, from anything I've written. Like I've never had a moment writing these books where I don't know where it's going. And I think that's a lot in part due to Fortuna, because she's so like impulsive and reckless, and she's never scared to just, keep going. So yeah.
I love Fortuna. There's something about her. It's like, I was saying to Ashleigh when I think she was reading Restless Slumber about how just stubborn Fortuna is, and I definitely identify with that. And it's like, Fortuna, I don't know if I like her a lot of the time because she makes a lot of stupid decisions, but I really identify. She has like all of my most annoying traits about myself. Is a real big one.
I completely agree. I think she has some moments where she is not likable. She is one of the most deeply flawed characters I've ever written, but you root for her.
How do you come up with her power? Like, she has this power to enhance people's fears and stuff. How do you come up with that? Because I haven't seen that really.
Yeah. You know what? I can't even remember. I remember it occurred to me when I was writing the first chapter, because I don't think this is a spoiler. She's in that, black market, and she needs to escape. And I knew that she was a supernatural creature. I knew that Colith had just come in that scene, and he was a fairy, so that meant that she wasn't. And it somehow snowballed from there that I was like, what's her ability? Like, how is she special? And I knew I wanted her to be really badass. So yeah, and
she's definitely badass.
Yeah. It's been a couple of years since I've written Fortuna Sworn now, so it's a little hazy.
I do feel like it works well with her personality, though, because like you said, she's impulsive and she's kind of runs into everything. And I suppose you would if your literal power is to use other people's fear against them and stuff.
Yep.
A good pairing.
And let's be honest, if she were human, she'd be dead by now. So
True. I have a question. It's a little bit of a game, but we're only going to play one round.
I like it.
Harry kill Oliver, Laurie, and Colith.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys go first. I want to hear your answers.
Oh no. I didn't think of
Oliver, like, without a doubt. Like, I'm sure he's a stand-up guy, but he just throws a spanner in the works of like everything that I want. I don't know who I would marry.
Okay, I would. I don't. Okay, I don't know the answer. 3 seconds of your time. Because I was gonna say, like, I would marry Laurie, but like it depends on the book. Because this book, like, Laurie really has some spotlight in this one, and you guys have to read it so I can talk to you about it. Laurie does some things in this book that really made me fall in love with him. So like I'm all about Team Colith and being loyal to Colith, but also if we're talking about Deadly Dreams, I would marry Laurie, I would Colith, and I'd probably kill Oliver because the guy is so miserable. You'd just be putting him out of his misery. So that's my answer.
Ashleigh?
I mean, I'm getting rid of Oliver. Like, sorry, Oliver, but
Poor Oliver, he's such a stand-up guy as well.
no, you're a nice guy.
It reminds me of Kelsey, if you watched Buffy.
Yes.
He's like Riley. He's the Riley of the group.
Oh, I love Riley. Riley, I actually really loved him, and people found him so boring, but I was like, I kind of wish she'd ended up with Riley. Like,
oh, T.
I know.
He's a beautiful guy. He's a stand-up guy, but it's just not there.
Neither of you have played your version of this game yet.
It's true. I'm gonna marry Colith. Come on.
Okay, all right.
I was gonna say, like,
if I could, but
where I am now, it would be marry Colith and just live out like this story, basically. But I have a feeling I'm gonna keep flipping and flopping between that. So,
well, we will have to have a conversation once you guys are done, because I'm hoping your answers will be different, because my goal for this book was to make you feel conflicted. Like right now, I think anyone who reads this series is very
sorry.
This is Kenny. He has feelings about Laurie and Colith too. I don't know where I was going. Oh, my goal for this book was to make you more torn between the two sexy fairies. So,
which honestly, that should just be the synopsis. That would win me over immediately.
No other plot. Oh, okay. So Aria says, "How do you keep up with all the plot twists, and how they need to fit with each other?" So that has also been a challenge. Definitely. I think that the way I keep it all organized is that I have the books plotted out. I know what the end goal is. I know who the villains are and what the twists are. I have it all in each Scrivener document for each book. And then I don't know how much you guys know about Scrivener, but it is very easy to organize the scenes and chapters and know exactly what happens in each one, because you can label them on the side of the screen. And so that's how I keep it all organized.
Mm-hmm. Leslie says, do people in your life help inspire your characters' mannerisms?
That's an interesting question. I would say that like the little things that you do that my characters do on the page, like tucking their hair behind their ear, or small things like that, are things that I've seen have it in a conversation people do. So I don't know that I don't know specific people in my life have any influence on those mannerisms, but I definitely draw from my memories.
I'm just trying to take some from the Instagram ones that we got.
Yeah.
What is your, speaking of writing, actually, because that's with the plot and stuff and the mannerisms, what is your first step in world building?
Oh, that's fun. I mean, so this is relevant to world building as opposed to story building, but for world building, it's very much like for Fortuna Sworn specifically, I had to establish what the rules were, what the boundaries were for a fairy, because that is one thing that differs from book to book about fairies is their abilities. And, you know, a lot of them seem kind of godlike and have no limits, but that I don't believe, I hope it doesn't seem like that's the case in Fortuna Sworn, just because I do want them to have limits and I don't want them to be all powerful. So that was the first step for me for this series, was establishing the Fallen. And for those of you that haven't read this yet, the Fallen it's what I call all the creatures in this series: werewolves, fairies, nightmares. So they all are descended from fallen angels. And so even though they all come from the same place, they all have very different abilities and limits. But that was my biggest thing in this series for world building, was establishing that.
You have a Pinterest board as well, don't you?
Say that again?
You have a Pinterest board.
I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that I'd been on it, and I was like, was I? Do I remember? I might have to go back on there and see if you've added anything.
I add to it all the time. The Pinterest board is not really helpful regarding the world building, but I definitely have used images when I'm describing characters, or I won't lie, when I'm writing a sexy scene, I've had a shirtless man sitting on the Scrivener on the screen. I think I'm writing these sexy scenes and I have a man sitting next to me. No, it's on the screen. Let me see. As a self-pub author, have you set yourself specific deadlines for the book releases, or are you more just letting the book dictate when you're done and ready? That's a fun question. It's been different for every book. For Fortuna Sworn, it was very much a when I feel like it's ready and when it's edited, I'll release it. For Restless Summer and Deadly Dreams, I set a what do you call it when you set the release and people can pre-order? I'm having a moment, guys. I set the books 2 and 3 up for pre-order, so that added more structure, and that very much gave me a deadline. Again, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the indie side of things, but Amazon will penalize you if you don't meet that date, and they will actually forbid you from being able to set up a book for pre-order for an entire year if you don't make your date.
Wow.
So, which is a pretty hefty thing to lose when you're an indie author.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you probably get asked this all the time, but why did you decide to self-publish rather than?
There's a very specific reason for it. So I was at the Love Letter convention was it Berlin or Munich? It was in Germany a few years ago, and I met Samantha Young. She wrote On Dublin Street.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that actually.
Yeah. So I met Samantha, and she's an indie author. She's actually hybrid. And so her and I were speaking, because we were on a panel together, and I was asking her a lot about it. So I was super curious about self-publishing. And she told me that she thought it was really a smart move for all authors to be a hybrid, because you never know where the publishing industry is going to go. And this way you have some stability, or, you've got more control over at least half of your books, So I had that conversation with Samantha in the back of my mind. And at the time that I started Fortuna Sworn, I had just had a book contract canceled with Penguin Random House. And that was after rewriting a children's book from scratch, probably 4 or 5 times for them. And that was why it was canceled, because we just couldn't get our visions to match up for what they wanted the book to be and for what I wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just spent 2 years in a child's brain, and I was feeling really burnt out on that genre. And so I had that idea. I want to self-publish, and I know I wanted to do adults because I wanted it to be everything opposite a middle grade novel is. Like, I don't want any more boundaries. I want to cuss. I want to have, man parts on this page. So that is why I self-pubbed.
I have noticed as well over this year, I've been reading a lot of self-published like fantasy romance specifically, and it is much better than traditionally published fantasy romance. And I think it's because you don't have, with the exception of like the Queen, Sarah J. Maas, with the exception of her.
She got away with a lot of stuff that most writers don't. Like, I have submitted fantasy books to my agent, and she has told me that I need to tone it down. So Sarah got away with some stuff that most writers don't.
The thing about her, I think, is that fantasy romance, I don't think publishers see it as a marketable genre. Like, I don't think they want to invest in it just being as it is. And like, when people market the A Court of Thorns and Roses series or Throne of Glass, they market it as young adult fantasy, not fantasy romance. But that's what it is. And then what I'm finding now, especially this year, with a lot of people are reading Fortuna Sworn at the minute. Crescent City was released. Jennifer L. Armentrout is doing amazing right now. And a lot of people are now heading over to self-published fantasy romance because you just can't find it. And if you do find it in traditionally published books, it's hidden. It's not marketed as romance. It's reliant on people like booktubers and bloggers to read it and then identify it. But yeah, like self-published fantasy romance is like top tier.
I've been really enjoying it. I've been reading a lot of indie books too. Yeah. I feel like we're just going to keep going in that direction, honestly.
What is your favorite fairy book that's not your own?
Ooh, this is hard. I don't know that I have a favorite because like I love Claire and Black and Mass. But I guess I'd have to say like the main inspiration for Fortuna Sworn was early Holly Black. Have you guys read like Tithe or Ironside or Valiant?
This is where we just
Okay, well those are probably my favorite. And early Holly Black, like Tithe in particular, was where I got a lot of my inspiration for Fortuna because it's really, you guys need to read it. It's super gritty, and I'm actually really shocked that Holly got away with getting that published because like I remember reading it as a 13-year-old and being like, whoa. Yeah, so anyway, that's probably one of my favorites is that trilogy.
The only one of the fairy books that I've read of hers is The Darkest Part of the Forest.
I think that's one of her weaker ones.
And then I've read the one that's not a fairy one. I've read one of the, is it the Curse Workers books?
Those are good too. So really, you have yet to read my favorite Black books then.
I tried Cruel Prince, but I can't get along with her writing. So yeah. But at least in that sense, I would say you did it better. So
I guess I should be happy.
There was one on Instagram that was, what is your favorite underrated book that you want everyone to read?
Oh, okay. Wait, parameters, self-pubbed or not?
Underrated, so probably I would say self-pubbed.
Okay. I need to go look at my Goodreads. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm not kidding. I'm gonna go look at my Goodreads.
My favorite underrated book that everyone needs to read would probably Fortuna Sworn, actually.
I've been reading so much this year because
I've been doing some pretty good self-published like fairy romance recommendations.
Yes, thank you, because I have a lot of time on my hands. And
there's the Bargainer series, which is amazing. I've only read the first 2 books so far.
That might be my answer. No, that's not underrated. I feel like a ton of people know about that one.
Yeah, they do now. Yeah.
It's
like of self-published fantasy romance is like at the top.
I'm doing horribly at answering this question.
I've got a whole bunch. I feel like I'm just collecting fantasy romance series and not actually.
Yeah, same. I have so many.
I will say I did just read. It's called Radiance by Grace Draven.
Oh, that is if you search like fantasy romance recommendations, that comes up like right at the top on Goodreads lists.
So I don't know if that counts as underrated because I've been seeing it around more, but I loved that one. And then also it was like called The Bird and the Sword. Was it?
I'm just adding these to my Goodreads.
I was going to say, I could tell you were doing that. So I'm like, I'm going to come to you in a bit and be like, send me the link.
Pestilence was really good too, but Laura Thalassa is not, like, people know who she is. Okay. Yeah, The Bird and the Sword by Amy Harmon. I really enjoyed that one. And then I'd say my last answer is she's not underrated. Penelope Douglas.
Oh, yeah, I read Birthday Girl. Oh, because you told me to, actually. That's why I read it.
I can't remember. Did you finish? Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. And I was surprised as well because I don't like age gap romances generally. But I gave it 4 stars because I really liked it in spite of the fact that it was an age gap romance. So I really want to read.
So Birthday Girl is not my favorite of hers. I actually really loved Credence.
Oh, is that the one, like, they've got black covers? And is it a series?
No, it's a standalone, and it's got like a forest on the cover. But it doesn't have anything magical in it. I can't remember what the question was.
Underrated favorite.
Yeah, okay. So Credence, I would say let's talk about Credence for a second. It's very twisted, and I'm a little embarrassed to like list it as a favorite because I don't want to tell you why. The main character is very, very sexually, she explores her sensuality, and she does it in such a way that most women probably wouldn't. But like, you can't stop reading, and there's something so alluring about this book. And anyway, you won't be able to stop reading, I'm betting, but yeah. It's not
the one that I thought you were talking about was the Devil's Night series by her.
I haven't read it yet.
Me either, but apparently it's really good. But it's also like really like hit and miss in the relationships. I think it's a series of, like where they're in a series but they're all following different relationships. I think it's like that.
Oh, somebody wants me to introduce my dogs. Well, August is in a pile of sleepy dogs right now, but Jane, where are you, Jane? Hey,
she's the sweetest.
Jane.
I can relate.
Yeah, she takes after her mom that way. She's like, I'm sleeping. And then, well, I don't know if you guys want to meet my dog specifically, and then I run a dog daycare. And so right now I've got quite a few.
The big one came out as well.
So, yeah, it's always a party here.
I think somebody actually asked on Instagram, like, if writing is your only job or if you do something else as well. So I feel like you just answered that question.
I do the writing, and then I have my little dog daycare. Yeah.
What a life.
Do you struggle with making your characters believable? I don't think I wouldn't say I struggle with it, because for this series, at least, I don't really question myself with anything. Like, I know where I want to go with it, and the dialogue feels, at least to me, like the dialogue feels really natural when I'm writing it. Like, it just kind of flows out of me. And yeah, it's one of the first books I've written where I'm like, is this really bad or is this cheesy? I'm just having a really good time, and I'm writing what I want to write.
I just want to say that Christy has said that she also loves your Spotify playlist, and so do I. I think was it Restless Slumber I was reading when I listened to that. Yeah. And like because I listen to everything on shuffle, but when you get a part that matches up to what you're reading, it's great.
That whole playlist is very much like, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, so, I'm so glad I'm enjoying it. Thanks, Christy.
Do you write alongside listening to it? Like, do you have it in the background while you're just like furiously typing away?
You know what? Only sometimes. Ash, I don't know if you've listened to that playlist, but like that description I just gave of it is very accurate. So I really only listen to that playlist if I'm writing a scene where Fortuna is doing some ass kicking. Yeah. But
Aria said, as a reader, are you more drawn to characters or plot? And do you think it shows in your books?
As a reader, I want to hear what you guys think.
I'm characters.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, like for Fortuna Sworn, I love the plot twist. I live for them. Like, I try to have several throughout the book. So I guess I do really love having a good plot. So I guess maybe that's my answer.
I have to feel attached to the characters to care about the book. Like, before we started the live, you were asking me about this Savage Song. And I didn't like it as much as I've liked V. Schwab's other books because it's very fast-paced and action-packed, and it doesn't like focus on the characters. Like, I can read 500 pages of nothing happening, just the characters existing. And I'm like,
couldn't do it. So I guess my answer is plot. Yeah, not quite relevant, but I just watched the TV series Shadowhunters.
Oh,
and I really disliked Clary, but like I loved this show because of the plot. Like, I don't know. Have you guys watched it?
I love the cast of the movie, so I can't watch the show because it hurts me.
Season 1 is trash, but season 2 and 3 are really good. But anyway, so yeah, plot is actually a big alert for me. Yeah.
Scrolling for some more.
Did the thing where I was about to say something and then it
just Becca claims she doesn't like age gap romances, but Reese is like 1,000 years older than Farrah. It's just a immortal, okay?
Town.
Okay, so Becca, it's not that she doesn't like age gap; she just doesn't like obvious age gaps.
Yeah, I don't like old men. Oh, ones that look old. If you're old and you don't look it like Reese, I'm fine with that.
I feel like it would be difficult to, like, have you come across any challenges in writing, like, immortal characters or people with really long lifespans? Because obviously if they've just got centuries of history behind them, how do you put that on the page?
You know, so the villain in Deadly Dreams is very much, she falls in, I just ruined it. That person falls into this category where the villain has been alive for centuries and centuries. And it was fun and easy. I actually took advantage of that fact and brought up just like random events in history that this character has, witnessed or been a part of. And for me, that was fun. And also, I don't think this is a spoiler. In Deadly Dreams, I'm exploring the longevity of the Fae. And I mentioned that, do you guys remember the villain in book 1, Jason? So in book 3, I mentioned that his bloodline is responsible for the development of some very infamous serial killers throughout history. And then I mentioned some really pretty old serial killers. And for me, like, that was really fun.
I'm so excited to see that because one of the things that actually surprised me that I was initially a bit worried about going into the series is that it is more of like an urban fantasy. Like, we do have the place where they go to see all the Fae and everything, but then you do have, like, she literally is a waitress and just goes to work. And it was really interesting seeing how you merged the two together and made it feel like it did actually fit together rather than just, it's here.
You'll have to tell me if I succeed in Deadly Dreams because that's even more prominent in this one. Because a lot of people were surprised by the direction I went in Restless Slumber in book 2. I won't spoil anything. Don't worry, guys. But in book 2, we don't spend as much time in the supernatural worlds, meaning, the fairy courts. But in book 3, that changes, and you see her going back and forth almost every other chapter. So that was a really huge challenge, and you guys will have to let me know if I succeeded.
So I have also read the Charlie Travesty series installments, I guess, that you co-wrote with Jessie. What is the difference in process when you're co-writing as opposed to writing on your own?
Definitely a lot faster because you're only writing half of a book and then the other person's writing the other half. So that was the fun part of the process, was like we had an entire book a couple months later, which, doesn't usually happen with for.
How did you split that up? Like, did you write certain elements and Jessie wrote others, or?
Yeah. So what we do is we always, plot out the entire story. We share a Google Doc with each other, and then we go through and highlight which scenes, like I'll go through and highlight which scenes I want to write, and I'll do it in the color blue. And if Jessie, we haven't had it actually where she's like, I actually wanted to write that. Like our tastes or our preferences or our styles are different enough that she wants to write the scenes that I don't want to write. So yeah, it's worked so far. So yeah, so we'll go and write our scenes according to this timeline that we've created, and then we'll just paste it into the Google Doc.
Hannah has just asked if we can talk more about Charlie Travesty and Jessie, so just ask her if she has any specific questions. But I don't know if there's anything that you specifically want to talk about the process with Charlie Travesty or anything like that.
I mean, Charlie Travesties are, I'd say, futuristic vampire series, or post-apocalyptic, I should say, not futuristic. And the next installment will be coming out next summer. We're going to be starting to write it in February. What else can I say about it? Beck, you've read it.
I have read it. I love Noah. Can I request more Noah?
There will be more Noah.
All I want, just need more Noah.
Helen says, could you please explain the difference between plot and intrigue? Ooh, I would say plot is, at least for Fortuna Sworn, there's a lot of fae politics. So I would say a lot of the plot is what's happening with that. Like, you know, how do I explain it without spoiling the book? Fortuna is in danger of losing her power in book 3, her power as a high standing person in court. And so a lot of the plot is how she's trying to keep that power. I hope I'm explaining this in a way that's coherent. And I would say intrigue is, like, for instance, you guys are very curious about how it's going to play out with Collis and Lori, right? I would say that's intrigue. Like, a lot of you are going to continue this series just to see how that ends up. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's an accurate response.
It's pretty decent. Ash has asked, who was your first fantasy crush?
That's such a hard question.
I know. I'm thinking. I immediately went to like my first celebrity crush, but who was? Oh, I know who it was. My first fantasy crush was Jace from The Mortal Instruments.
Was it?
Yeah.
But see, like, I was reading even before like Twilight came out, so I can't even say.
Oh, no, mine was Edward. Of course it was. I read Twilight the year it came out.
Like, yeah. So I always brag about this. I read Twilight before the world discovered it. I like found it on the bookshelf one day, and then everybody started freaking out about it. I was like, oh yeah, I read that book. But anyway, so I was reading before the whole Twilight thing. So I'm trying to think of an answer from one of those books, but I mean, I get. Rhysand is probably my biggest crush. Can we just go with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I cannot remember my first fantasy crush. I've been reading like teen YA since I was probably 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of books since then.
Ashleigh, do you have one?
I don't know, because I'm pretty much the same, where I've been reading for so long that I'm like, where was the starting point?
My like main crushes probably went from Edward to Jace to Adrian from the Vampire Academy series, then Tamlin, then Rhys. I know I've upgraded to like Desmond Flynn.
One of my first ones, I can't remember his name, can barely remember anything about the series, but it's the reason why I'm so excited about From Blood and Ash, because I read Half-Blood by her, which is like...
I haven't read it.
Demons, basically. And I just loved that so much, and I loved the guy in it so much. So now that she's got like an actual adult series, I'm like, yes.
I haven't
read it yet.
I have another one of her series on my Kindle that I'm really excited to read as well. Oh, the Lux series. I've got all of that.
The what? Oh, the Lux series. Yeah. I haven't read that one either. Aliens, right?
I don't know.
I think so, yeah. She's got...
Is it really? It doesn't look like aliens from the cover.
I'm pretty sure it's aliens.
It's aliens.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure how I feel about alien romance. Like, alien romance always makes me feel a bit weird. So we'll see.
She's got a contemporary book as well called Wait For You, I think it is, which I adored, which is really strange because I don't read contemporary, but I adored that so much, which is why I'm just like, From Blood and Ash, I know this is going to fall through.
So much fantasy romance this month. I'm really excited.
The Stitcher Twin, will your series be coming out with an audio version? It 100% will. The audiobook for Fortuna Sworn is already out. You know, I haven't taken a look to see if the audiobook for Restless Slumber is yet completed. I signed with an actual audiobook publisher for the audiobooks. So I can tell you audiobook 1 is out. I need to go look and see if 2 is out. 3 definitely isn't because they're still recording it. So.
Nice.
Rachel asked, how did you find someone you wanted to co-author with, and were you already friends and decided to write together?
Fun question. So Jesse and I met on Instagram. Becca and Ash, I think you've experienced this, where I just like randomly messaged her and I was like, you're a cool person, we're gonna be friends. And yeah, Jesse I mean, I don't think she fought it, but it wouldn't have mattered because when I decided to be friends with someone, it happened. So anyway, so Jessie and I were friends first, and then I also messaged her one day. And I was like, "We're gonna write a book together." And she's like, "Okay." So that's how it happened.
I was going to say everything about this co-writing process sounds so easy because you're just like, I'll write this scene, I'll write this one, and we're going to write a book together.
Yeah.
It has been really easy. I mean, I think the one thing that Jess and I learned, like, that we are going to do differently the second time around is we really stressed ourselves out setting the pub dates without the book being done. So then we were like scrambling to meet these dates we'd set for ourselves, I should say. So that was one part that we learned from was, okay, we're going to have the book actually written before we set the release dates. Yeah.
Do you struggle to balance like both Fortuna and
Charlie?
Yeah.
I haven't actually had to experience that yet because we started writing Charlie once I was done with Restless Slumber. And then I finished Deadly Dreams, and now we're going to go back to writing Charlie. So I haven't really had to juggle it at all. And we've done that deliberately. The reason that we took such a long break from Charlie is so I could focus on Deadly Dreams. So it hasn't really been, yeah.
I have an Instagram question. It says, who are the authors that inspire you the most?
Definitely probably the expected answer is I love Holly Black. I love Sarah J. Maas. I love Cassandra Clare. Like, I love their depictions of, the supernatural, and I definitely borrowed from that inspiration.
Interesting question. In your opinion, who does fairies best out of the three?
Say that one more time.
Like, in your opinion, out of those three authors, which one do you think does fairies the best?
Ooh. They're all so different. I guess I would say, as I probably said at the beginning of the stream, Holly Black, her fairies in Tithe and Ironside and Valiant, they're just so gritty and they're vicious, and some of them are evil, and they will cross boundaries, and they treat humans like garbage, and so that's where I think I draw the most. And I don't know why that's my favorite depiction. That probably says way too much about me.
But I was laughing, so I'm just like, I love them because they're gritty and they hate humans, and we start.
I know. I promise I'm not a serial killer, you guys. I promise. But yeah, that's her gritty depiction is my favorite. Like Claire, her fairies are very pretty, and they have, they interact with fairies and shadow hunters in a very polite and civil manner. And then Maas's fairies are very much like live in palaces, and so
that's my favorite. We like a bougie fairy.
Yeah, like my fairies live in the dirt underground, and they wear rags, and like.
I do find it interesting though, because one of the things that I've always been saying in my videos whenever I mention your book is that you managed to do this dark fantasy series that everybody is wanting. Like, everybody keeps saying this is dark fantasy, and I've been reading so many where I'm like, no, it's not. Whereas you actually managed to do it and pull it off, and I'm like, yes, thank you.
And I think it's because I feel like I crossed some of those lines some writers won't. So
I feel like you have to write a dark story, because otherwise it's not dark. And that's the problem I feel with things that I've been reading recently that say they're dark and don't really kind of pull through on that.
Yeah, probably what we were saying earlier about it. Like, there's more restrictions on traditional because you can't go and publish that if they're just like, oh, we can't.
Yeah. I remember in a book that I sent my agent, like, she actually highlighted a scene, and she was like, "This might be too much." Like, and now I just publish those scenes.
Now we're just like, yes, give me.
No one tells me it's too much. Somebody says, do you snack while reading? I definitely do. I'm addicted to that. I don't know if you guys have it where you are, but it's Angie's white cheddar popcorn.
No.
It's Boom Chicka Pop. But yeah, I'm addicted to that. That's what it's called.
I tell you what I eat when I'm reading. I do eat, but nothing like specific, just whatever I happen to be eating at all the time.
I do the thing where I'll set up this whole thing where I'm like, here's my drink, here's my snack, and then I'll just have my drink and my snack, and then I'll read it. Like, I won't do it all together. I'll just be like, stop.
Everything you have is so cozy on your, your videos and your reels. If you guys follow Ashleigh, I don't know how anyone here wouldn't be following Ashleigh, but you should on Instagram because like her stuff is so cozy.
Bless you. You have to cover everything in February.
Rachel said, would you ever write outside of fantasy?
I actually do. I am not just KJ Sutton. I have books out as Kelsey Sutton, my young adult middle grade. And one of them is I would call it magical realism, but it's a thriller too. I don't know what it is. It's like a serial killer mystery with a touch of the supernatural. So it's definitely not fantasy. But what else? No, I guess the others are fantasy. But my answer is yes, I definitely would write outside of fantasy. I plan to. I have a book partially written that is Penelope Douglas-esque, as in like, Credence and her other contemporary stuff. So it's in the works. I plan to, but fantasy is definitely my favorite.
Aren't you writing like a dystopian kind of book as well?
What do we dystopia? So it's called The Door at the End of the Stars, and it takes place futuristic world where you can rent out another person's body for an amount of time and use it however you like. I think there are TV shows like that. But yeah, so it's definitely not fantasy because there's no magic in it or supernatural. So yeah.
I am excited to read it. I'll take that now. Thank you.
I was going to say, as soon as you're just like, none of the others are fantasy or whatever, and I'm just like, others?
There's a lot of sex in it.
Girly Gamers says, what is your favorite character from your books?
That's an impossible question. That's like asking a parent which one of their kids is their favorite. Sacha, you should never be scared to comment with these two. They're just the kindest people you'll ever meet. My favorite character, you know what? It's probably got to be Laurie. He's my favorite to write too, just because he's so witty and like he always makes things worse and better at the same time. And I don't know how he does it.
He does awful things, but he's such a pretty boy that you just have to forgive him.
Yeah, he's that charming guy in high school where it's like, you're a jerk, but I like you. Like,
yeah.
It took me so long to try and describe him, and I just never got anywhere because I'm just like, just Laurie.
And his name is from maybe that was my childhood crush, Laurie from Little Women. So yeah. Anyway, he's kind of got to be my favorite because he's got a lot going for him. But
I do have a question about Oliver because
I was just going to ask you to ask that question because I need to know.
So Oliver, like, this isn't a spoiler. You get introduced to him pretty quickly, but he is quite literally a dream guy. Like, he is within Fortuna's mind. How did you come up with that?
How did I come up with that? I wrote this book 2 years ago. I don't remember anything now. I knew. So I'm sure you guys have guessed that Oliver is going to have a huge reveal. And you don't find out. I will tell you guys right now, you will not find out where Oliver is coming from or what he is until the end of book 5. And so, and then how do I explain this without completely spoiling it? Because the way I want to explain it, it kind of gives away the huge twist that I'm not giving you guys. So, no, I can't explain it. The answer to how I came up with Oliver ties into a spoiler.
Okay. We'll come to for
those of you who haven't read Fortuna Sworn, you have no idea who Oliver is or what we're talking about. Fortuna being a nightmare kind of stands to reason that she has a very active dreaming life. And so every night when she falls asleep, there is a person waiting for her in what I call the dreamscape. And it's a land inside of her head. It's got meadows and an ocean and a stone cottage. And Oliver is the person. She calls him her best friend. And he's been visiting her in her sleep since she was 8 years old when she was in a time of grief. I'll just say that. But yeah, so that's Oliver, and he is very sweet, and a lot of people are like, don't trust Oliver, and I guess I don't want to spoil that for you, but I will say that Oliver in my heart is a very sweet and good person. So I'll just say that.
I have that thing where I'm just like, you're too nice. What's going on?
Like, it's like these books too. You just want to distrust everybody. Oliver's a real thing. Like his love for Fortuna is genuine.
But love can make you do bad things.
It can.
In the case of other characters that aren't Oliver.
I love how everyone in the comments is just now screaming like, book 5.
Yeah, they're upset everybody.
I'm so sorry, you guys.
Oh, this is an excellent question. 3 characters in Buffy.
You guys go first.
I actually haven't seen it. Faith.
Wait, who?
Faith.
Faith. Oh, that's a very controversial answer.
I love her so much.
Really?
I love them all.
Ashleigh, come on, you gotta watch it.
Good luck. Trying to get me to watch it.
Actually, she only watches like mini-series.
Is it just too like much of a commitment for you?
I just don't finish anything. I still haven't finished Umbrella Academy.
Really?
No.
That's so good.
I start a lot of things and I get about 3 episodes in and then I'm like, cool.
And then with Buffy, you've got no hope because season 1 is like one of the weakest seasons, and then it gets really good in like season 2, so you're never gonna make it there.
Yeah, season 1's not good.
No.
You didn't answer your other 2 characters though.
I don't know. I love Giles. I love Willow, Xander, Anya. Definitely Faith would be up there. I want to say Willow.
Maybe I can't believe you're not saying Spike.
I do love Spike. I really do. But I've rewatched it recently, and I do still love him, but like not. I don't know. I think I love like Giles. I love Giles so much. Okay. Oh, Cordelia.
Who's
Cordelia?
Have you seen Angel as well?
I started it and I hated Cordelia so much that I stopped.
I love Cordelia.
Is Cordelia the one who you did in that readathon?
Yes.
I was gonna say, I was like, there was somebody who you mentioned liking because you did that path in a readathon or something. That's the only.
Nobody likes Cordelia. She's essentially the mean girl character, but she has a lot of character growth. And then her last episode in Angel makes me cry so much. I sobbed.
Well, we can't talk to you about it because we haven't seen it.
Probably, let's say, I do love Xander though as well. Faith, Cordelia, and then everybody else can go into 3. Apart from Buffy, actually, I'm not a huge like fan of her as a character just because she's very self-righteous.
Mine would be Spike, Giles, and then probably a tie between Willow and Anya.
Anya's perfection.
Yeah, I just love how like she's like, why is saying that wrong? Like it's the truth.
Pretty much. For context for Ashleigh, she was a demon and then she becomes human and she doesn't understand any human conventions, so if she thinks something, she just says it. Yeah, and I just love that. It's bad. And she's obsessed with money. She runs a shop at one point and she's just obsessed with money. Good time.
Roxanne just said, where were you in the 90s? I was only in the 90s for 2 years. I was born in the 90s.
I think I'm actually get off Buffy because if we keep talking Buffy, that's going to be the rest of the stream.
Yeah, pretty much. Who's the artist who does your covers?
Oh, so I'll tell you guys this little story about my cover artist. But so I follow Ben Alderson on Instagram. He's another indie writer. And so I saw his covers and they're stunning. I don't know if you guys have seen them. But anyway, so I messaged him and he was kind enough to respond right away and let me know who his artist was. And she's on Instagram as Upon a Daydreamer, if you guys want to check her out. And so I messaged Gwen and she had an opening. And yeah, she's fantastic. And she's going to do the rest of the series as well.
I honestly just have like mind blown moment because I've seen his covers so often and I did not put 2 and 2 together that they were an artist until you've just said that and I'm like, oh yeah.
Me neither. I like his covers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like self-published fantasy romance books with a really good cover, and it's just like an instant thing for me. I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Like Elise Cover has stunning covers.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sad that I don't have her most recent one here because I've just filmed a video with it, so it's in the other room. But that was another one of the like fantasy romance ones, which I'm excited about because I mean, it's been likened to Beauty and the Beast and Hades in Persephone. Like, it's called Deal with an Elf King. Yeah.
Say that one more time.
Deal with an Elf King.
Oh yes, but the same author who wrote the Air.
Yeah.
Air Awakens and Alchemists of Loom as well. I think
I've been seeing that one everywhere. The Elf King one, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Gavin's here. Hey, Gav.
Hi, Gavin. This is my first time interacting with Gavin. I want to be your friend.
We want him to read your friend. Kelsey, have you seen any of his vlogs where he reads smart or like he's done the ACOTAR ones?
No.
He dresses as Rutland when he's reading Akamath, and he does like this scene when he's reading the steamy ones. He gets like it literally in the vlog. He gets in a cold bath and just like rises out of it. He's like, Gavin's content is great.
That's what I'm doing tonight.
He has some fab stuff.
We do tend to be reading stuff, so he'll be reading Fortuna Sworn soon.
Yeah, well, I keep he keeps betting me something, and I'm always right. And every time he loses a bet, I buy him a book that he has to read.
I love that. That is a friendship I want. But no, if Gavin were to read a steamy scene from Fortuna Sworn in a bathtub, like I could die happy. Like I would hi everybody. This is the top for me. This is it. I've peaked. Ruth, thank you. You are so sweet. Adam, you're the best.
So what TV shows do you think your characters would binge watch?
What do you guys think? I'll let you answer this one. I've been battling.
Ashley doesn't watch TV. It's all on me.
Can I say Laurie watches RuPaul's Drag Race? Just
yeah.
Extravagant.
Yeah, you totally would. What does Olive watch?
This isn't a spoiler, you guys. Laurie is like a fashionista, okay? Like, I actually have had to do research on high fashion just to make sure that Laurie's wearing what he wants to wear. Because he would just be like very unhappy if I were to dress him in anything less than, couture.
I could fully imagine him being one of the guests on RuPaul's Drag Race.
No, and in Deadly Dreams, I'm not kidding. I had to do research on clothing for him. Like, and he shows up in one scene. Like, it's a scene where they're trekking through the woods, but he's wearing like leather and spikes. And I'm like, you would, Laurie. You would.
I think I've just read a scene actually where he's shirtless, but he's got like a really fancy like feather.
Yes.
Around his shoulders.
Yep.
He's very fancy.
In one scene, he's wearing a bearskin and like, yeah.
He is just the definition of flamboyance. Like,
it reminds me a lot of like Cinna from the Hunger Games. Like he could be a stylist in the Hunger Games.
You know what? That's actually kind of where I drew my inspiration was from Cinna. Yeah. That's definitely evolved as the books have gone on. He started as a Cinna and now he's his own thing. Like
I feel like Colith would watch like sad documentaries.
You know what? In Deadly Dreams, he listens to podcasts, like, and he actually keeps up with human politics and with environmental issues. So, like, that's probably what.
Yeah, my gut instinct was like sad animal documentaries. That's
not angsty enough for Colith. Yeah.
What would Fortuna watch?
She doesn't watch TV.
I don't know if she'd be one like who just binges reality TV just so that there's something on TV but isn't actually paying attention to it.
In Deadly Dreams, like she has the TV on in the background, but like she's in this book she's studying Enochian, which is the language of the angels. So she really doesn't watch TV. Like she's got too much crap on her plate right now. Hi, you guys! Thank you so much for coming.
What is your favorite non-romance book?
Do you guys hear that? I'm sorry. I've got a dog like tapping on the couch back here. Favorite non-rom. I will say I don't think it's a romance. The Host by Stephanie Meyer. There's definitely romance in it. I would say it's definitely a huge part of the book, but it's not marketed as a romance. So crap, what was the question? Why am I so blanking today?
Like, non-romance.
But yeah, so The Host is actually one of my like top 5 favorite books of all time. So
I read The Host a long time ago. I tried to read it once actually, and the first 150 pages is really slow, and I gave up.
Yeah, it is.
Then the year after I came back, got past the first 150 pages and loved it.
Yep, you have to read the first chunk to get to the most amazing part of the book, I feel.
But if I remember correctly, it's like a really long trek through a desert.
Yep.
And it's just not a good time.
Yeah. I'm loving these comments, you guys. Some of these are really making my day.
Rachel has confirmed that you would love Gavin's Akatar vlogs.
Well, like I said, I know what I'm doing tonight, so.
I keep thinking, because I'm very much in the festive mood, as you can tell. I'm trying to imagine the characters at Christmas, basically, and just being like, who would be the one getting excited to decorate a tree and like watching the Hallmark movies? Like, who would be most likely to be doing that?
I feel like Laurie would decorate the tree, but Colith would insist on doing the things like the lights and like getting the wires right on the lights and like untangling everything. And especially when they're putting things away, Colith would be the one making sure everything's put away properly.
I just appreciate you guys so much.
I feel like Fortuna, I think this is why it popped into my head, because Fortuna would be that person who pretends that she's not bothered, but inside is actually like squealing. And he's just like pretending not to be that bothered.
Deadly Dream, that's actually very accurate. In Deadly Dreams, she keeps having these cute moments because, you know, Fortuna is all about family, right? So in the 3rd book, she keeps having these really cute moments where she looks around and she just feels so happy that she's surrounded by family again because she was alone for so long. So yeah, that's
I read, oh my god, a really cute moment that was so sad. I nearly died. I'm only on like chapter 6. Without any context, it involves writing on an arm.
Why am I not remembering what I wrote?
Like, you're writing on her arm, and it just. I
have to read my own book. Thanks a lot.
I keep
Rachel said Laurie plus leather and spikes. My body is ready.
No, she went, my body is ready. That's how that went.
Ruth, Mary Kill, Rhysand, Colith, and Desmond.
Ooh, that's fun.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Okay, I can do it. I would marry Rhysand. I would murder and kill. There's no like, you know, bang.
We'll go fuck, marry, kill. Fuck, marry, kill.
Okay. So yeah, marry Rhysand. I would. They're so hot. Why would I kill any of them?
Yeah, exactly.
I would Desmond, and then because I want the other 2. So bye, Colith.
You are the author, so I'm just like, like, please don't kill him.
I can't believe you just killed your own character in this game.
Sorry, I know I answered wrong.
I can't. They're all my favorites.
I would do like power of elimination, where it's like I've known Desmond the least longest. Is that a sentence? He's the newest to me, so I'd get rid of him because I've dealt without him. And then marry Rhysand and just have a good time with Colith, I guess.
I like it.
I can't even decide who I would marry of the 3 of them. I feel like it would have to be Rhys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rhys.
Yeah. The thing is as well, like, we don't know endgame with Colith, whereas we do with Rhysand, and we know that it comes with a pretty palace, which is what we like. So
and we do know endgame for Desmond. Like, I haven't read it yet, but it does exist. So I'm up to I need to read the novella next, and I have a couple of my patrons on my back. I think they might be here actually. Because I just haven't read it, because they read it off my recommendation and then just binged the entire series, and I have not finished. So.
I'm laughing at this thing. Rhysand is Marianne Bank because he's melt-worthy thing of a man.
Oh wow.
Becca, you should highlight Ruth's comment every time I walk around in a forest.
Oh yeah.
I never do.
People always say that I'm walking around in woodland. This is why. This is what I'm trying to
This is what you're looking for.
If I'm there long enough, someone's got to rock up.
Ruth, to be fair, in Fortuna Sworn, you really don't want to walk in the woods because there are other things in the woods. So, just saying. Okay, you're super loud, dude. We'll play with that later. Okay.
Oh, have you ever Googled yourself?
Oh, I definitely have Googled myself. Yeah. 100%. I will pretend. I have looked at myself on Twitter. Like, I want to know.
I get annoyed. I'm pretty sure if you Google my channel name, then one of the first things that comes up on Google Images is Ashleigh's thumbnail, and it really is.
What's wrong with Ashleigh's thumbnail?
It's because I'm Googling myself. Why is Ashleigh there?
Oh, okay. I thought like it was a really unflattering picture of you or something.
No, it's just not me.
Still in the spotlight.
Oh no, it's changed now. There is quite a few of me, but there is one of yours and also one of Gavin's thumbnails on here.
I have this. I'm sorry, guys. Like these two decide. They're like, we're gonna play now.
Anyone been reading any Christmas books? Any recommendations?
I don't really read Christmas books. I read books during Christmas.
Yeah, I don't read Christmas books either. And there's so many Christmas romances out there that I could be reading.
Okay, you found the other squeaky toy? I'm sorry. Probably clear.
I do like the good old Christmas Carol, and I've got some like classic Christmas stories, but none of them are romance or anything. I would say if you want wintry vibes and not like hardcore romance, but it's the sort of romance where Becca didn't expect it and then she ended up loving it, The Bride and the Nightingale.
I just filmed a winter recommendations video today, actually.
I was going to say, you consider that one Christmas?
It's just winter. Yeah, it's wintry.
I did love that one. I wouldn't say it's romantic, though.
Oh, no, it is.
Well, this is the thing, because I've loved the series for ages, and I knew Becca was reading it, and I was like, I actually can't judge whether you like it or not, because that's the sort of fantasy where we sometimes differ, because it's like I like retellings of things, whereas Becca doesn't always love them. So I couldn't tell whether she'd love it or not. And then she was like, why didn't you tell me about this guy? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
I like stories that are romantic without a lot of romance. Like Kelsey will find out soon that Addie LaRue is a bit like that. There is romance in there, but that's not the focus. But it's a very romantic story overall. And I feel like The Bear and the Nightingale is like that. And it's just that kind of like Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights is like that. It's romantically told, but like the characters are all terrible. I find romance where there is none, okay? Problem.
It's funny because I'm trying to do a winter recommendations video, but I've already used like the 5 wintry books I've got, so I'm like, great, what else do I have?
I had to check when I was doing mine that I haven't recommended any of them for like my autumn one, because I just think like cold books.
Yeah. I've done 2 autumn recommendation type videos as well this year, so I'm just like, right, we really need to make sure I'm not repeating anything.
Deadly Dreams takes place entirely in winter. So yeah.
Yes. Oh, I have a notebook now for like my thoughts when I'm reading things. And one of the first things I wrote down for Deadly Dreams is if this was a film, it would be all cool tones and desaturated.
I
like
love
it's very grey, especially the beginning. It just like in my mind it's just grayness.
Yep. I tried to do that on purpose, and I can't talk about it. Never mind. I was going to talk about what happens with the villain, but never mind.
Another question: authors or books you disliked at first but got into?
I mean, we just talked about The Host being a slow starter.
Trying to think of any I have.
Oh, I just read one where I almost put it down. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo.
Oh, okay.
And
I've heard actually that is a really slow start. I haven't read it yet. I started it and then just had to read other things, so put it down.
I almost DNF'd because I got like 90 pages in and I was still really struggling. But then I got past the 100 or so pages and it gets really good. So
sadly, that's one of those books which kickstarted my rage against things claiming it's dark when it's not.
Really? You know what? Did you finish the whole thing though?
Yeah.
And you didn't think it was dark?
No, not particularly.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco. I hated the first 40%, but by the time I got to the end, I liked that book.
This is the sort of thing where I'm like, Becca would be better thinking of one of mine because I just don't remember anything.
No, you don't. I don't know though, because like we don't actually talk about what you're reading that much until afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik as well. I like hate and adore that in equal measure. I hate the writing, but I love the main character and the concept. Yeah,
I love that book.
I don't like the way that like every 2 pages she like starts with exposition and talking about something that happened 500 years ago, and it goes on for 10 pages, and then you can't remember what she's actually doing.
It's very extensive world building in that book.
Mm-hmm.
I had to laugh, but I also felt bad because Kelsey finished it. I was like, oh my god, I love this. And I was like, go to someone else. I didn't like it.
I did try to talk to you about it, and you were like, nope.
Nearly DNF Serpent and Dove. That one, I liked that all the way through.
I've been here, like, of course, Instagram has been exploding with Serpent and Dove, so it's on my radar. I just haven't gotten to it. But
it's pretty good. I gave it 5 stars. Just about though. It wasn't like a.
I gave it 5 stars. It's pretty good.
What did I not like when I started it? I don't know. There must be something.
I'm looking through mine now, and they're the only ones that I can think of.
I can't. Yeah, I keep looking over there because I've got like a few books, but most of them are in the other room, so I don't know.
Jessica, will the paperback be available soon? It will. It's coming out end of January or February. The reason for the delay being that the audiobook publisher is still recording it, and they would like me to release the physical version at the same time they release theirs. So that's why.
Ash asked, how long does it take for you to write a sex scene, and will Gavin love it? Gavin loves all sex scenes.
How long does it take? I don't actually know how to answer that. I would say it doesn't take me, any longer than any other scene. But I guess a fun tidbit I can tell you is that I recently wrote one of those scenes in public, and I felt wildly uncomfortable and like kept looking around like, you all know what I'm writing. Like I don't know how you know, but
what was I reading on the train when I was going to London? But I discovered, oh my god, it was Twisted Fate by Jessie.
Oh, yeah?
I discovered that like the pandemic is great for reading smut in public because you're wearing a mask and no one can see your face, because my cheeks go really red and I smile. So like if I'm wearing a mask, you can't tell. It's great.
As to whether Gavin will love it, I mean, I hope he does. There's, it's
you probably will.
Yeah. For those of you that haven't read it yet, the sexiness is coming. Like, I didn't want to dive. I didn't want to dive right into it, like, because Fortuna just meets Colith in book 1, and I am I'm about instant attraction for sure, but I've never been a person to try who likes instant love. So yeah, they definitely don't. How do I word it? They definitely don't do the whole deed for a while.
Autumn, you did another live show on Instagram earlier, and I have heard the answer to this, but Autumn said, did you have any say in your narrators for the audiobooks?
Never once thought about narrating them, because then we wouldn't sell a single copy. But I did have a say, actually. I recommended, her name is Emma. I can't pronounce her last name, Lysy. Anyway, so I recommended her to Dreamscape, who is the audiobook publisher. And what's funny is that Emma was actually already a fan of the books, and then she was approached to do the audiobooks. So it was kind of perfect. Yeah.
I do have to give props to any audiobook narrators for romance books, because I'm just like, I could not say half the stuff out loud.
How the heck would I do Collis' voice and make it sound sexy? Like, men, I make them sound constipated. Like, hey baby, get on the let's do that. No. Anyway.
I do find it hilarious whenever there's a narrator trying to do the opposite gender.
Yeah.
Voice. Sometimes
I'm real funny about audiobooks. I can only listen to them if the audiobook is better than reading it physically, and things like Sadie by Courtney Summers, where it has podcast segments, or if it's full cast, because I cannot deal with the doing opposite gender voices. Just no.
You probably want to listen to the Fortuna Sworn audiobooks then, because I believe Emma does all of it.
I can try. I mean, I would just read them physically. That's the thing. Just like I'm real particular about audiobooks, but I get I'm particular about anything in my ears. I have like sensitive ears, and then if I'm in a certain mood, like just I can't stand anything being near my ears.
Yep.
Was it hard to write the end of Restless Slumber? I died reading it. I think we all did.
What end? What are you talking about? It was happy. To answer your question, it was not hard at all, because I will picture how you guys will react to it. Like I picture how Becca was gonna feel about it. Like, or was it Becca? Becca did. I don't think we even knew each other when I wrote this ending. No, I picture how people are gonna, freak out about it, and it gives me life and it gives me joy, and I feel no pain at all.
You were just evil.
Yeah. She keeps photos of reactions, as I well know now, because she has a photo with me like almost crying on my bed.
No, you're crying. I read to Ashleigh sometimes. I go, "Hey, remember this?"
Did you edit anything out of the book? If so, why?
For Deadly Dreams, I did. Unfortunately, I'm calling them outtakes. I outtook 2 sex scenes. I didn't want to. The reason being, the book was already 500 pages long, and there are still many fun scenes that you will enjoy.
Taking out other scenes, like smoking.
The other ones are really important to the plot, so I had to choose, because it would have probably been like a 600-page book at that point.
That's fine.
Nobody would complain.
Okay, well, you guys are really on the indie side of things. When a book is that long, I'm not gonna make much profit off of this book, because the printing cost is so astronomical. Yeah.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
You've upset everybody again.
I shouldn't have said anything, you guys.
I would read 700 pages for the extra sex scenes. Do what Jay Kristoff did, because he had like a pre-order incentive that was just smut that was taken out of the book. So like just do like a novella that is just the sex scenes that you cut.
Well, Rachel, if this comforts you at all, I actually am hoping to still use those scenes in future Fortuna books.
Okay.
So, you kind of can plug in a sex scene wherever you want. So.
Yeah, everybody just wants Smut Novella 2.5. It needs to happen.
It's just smut. That's the title.
I will pre-order this smut.
Somebody asked you guys, do one of you plan to write a book?
Was my original plan, but I don't write anymore, sadly. I'm really inspired by like dreams. So like I dream really vividly. So I will dream something and I will then have an urge to expand upon it, because like your brain only retains so much information.
Yeah.
So then I'll start writing that, but then there's no way, I'm not very good at making like a cohesive story or anything like that. So I kind of write that scene, maybe write a couple more scenes, and then I just give up and leave.
Okay, that's really interesting. So you kind of are keeping a dream journal.
I could keep a dream journal for all of my dreams. I do dream vividly all the time, but yeah, like my Word doc things are just bits of dreams that I've expanded upon.
That's really cool, though. Mm-hmm. And you never know, like, let's pray that you'll be alive a long time. So you've got a long life ahead of you to explore that.
We'll see. It was one of the things when I was in school, like everybody thought that I would just write, and then I kind of stopped, and now I don't have time to.
Now you're just
I would kind of love to, but like YouTube and reading.
Mm-hmm. You got no time.
Yeah, candles as well.
Ashleigh, you don't at all?
I've been told I should write by multiple people actually, and I've written like, I like writing scenes. I'm not very good at putting together plots and details though, so I like creating characters. I like making scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But it would take a lot for me to actually put it together into a cohesive storyline and whatnot. So I don't plan to write a book, but I do have an idea in my head, and I do like writing when I get into it, but it's very rarely, so I wouldn't expect anything from me.
I think I would be a pretty good ghostwriter because I just don't have the ideas. But if somebody said like, "This is exactly what I need in a book," I'd be like, "Yeah, cool, I'll do that." Yeah, I could do that.
Well, I'm gonna hire now. Just looking at these comments. Rachel, thank you so much for buying all 3 of the books.
I've been doing that a lot with self-published books. I'll buy them for like 99p on Kindle, and then if I like them, I'll just buy the physical ones. I did that with the Bargainer series. But like, self-published books are so nice as well because they're like a really nice weight, and they're really fluffy. I love them. They're my favorite format of books. I have any here. I guess that doesn't really work, but they're just like so floppy and they're heavy.
I love
they're
it.
Really nice paperback.
I like I don't know if this is because I buy a lot of ebooks for the self pubs, but I love how the Fortuna Sworn books like the matte material.
Yes,
that's what I like.
And they're not black as well because like the Bargainer series is the same, but it's black, so like fingerprints all over it. But Fortuna Sworn isn't black, so you don't get the fingerprints.
All right. Mental note: tell the artist not to ever make the covers black. Becca will be sad.
I have it. Oh, it's here actually. Hang on. I've got I don't know if it's going to show on the live stream, but this is my uni book, and it has the mat. Yeah, you can see my fingerprints are all over it. I'm like, that is disgusting.
They look pristine when they arrive, and then within like 10 minutes, just fingerprints everywhere. Ash said, "How long does it take for you to write a Fortuna book?"
Oh, that's an book. Fortuna Sworn itself took me, I think, 3 or 4 years, because I wrote that during my college experience. And then Restless Slumber took me 9 months, and then Deadly Dreams I started writing in March. How long is that? I don't know. March.
I don't know. I did 3 months till 9 months.
Yeah. All right.
Do you know when book 4 is going to be out yet?
I have no idea.
I know you were hoping for one every 6 months.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. That would be possible if they kept turning out the length of the first book, but they're not. So I'm thinking realistically, it's going to be 1 a year, which I'm sad about too. I know, but I'm
when was Restless Slumber released? Because I read it after, so I don't know when the release date on that was.
I'm pretty sure it was released February,
so this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just feel like you've really hurt me because like what you've done is you've got me really hooked in these books, and you said you can have one every 6 months, and now that I'm addicted and I need them, you're like, no, you can only have one a year, and I'm like, thanks.
Okay, but like I could give you a book in 6 months, but it'd be kind of crappy. Do you want that? Like,
you can give me the outtakes of the smart.
I was going to say, can we reach a compromise and have the outtakes novella in the middle?
I might email you guys. That's if you're really good, and if you give me pretty things. Okay.
Have you started book 4? Do you think it will take you long to write? Somebody's asked.
I have started all of the books, so there is part of book 4 written. You know what? I can look right now. I think I have like 20,000 words. Which
that's like quite a bit.
If it's gonna like Deadly Dreams was 162,000 words, so I'm not even close if that's what it's going to end up being.
What's your goal? 95?
Yes. Okay, I just look. I only have 10,000 words. But yeah, so I do have some of it written. It's started.
When you write, do you start at the beginning or do you just start at a random point and then fill it in?
When I write, it didn't used to be this case, but once I downloaded Scrivener, that all changed. I completely write out of order. Like for Deadly Dreams, I had the last scene written before the first scene, and that just continued over the 9 months. I would just jump around the book, and I wrote that whole thing completely out of order. So yeah, I'm a very strange writer.
Wow. I feel like it makes sense though, because it's like you kind of need the framing of the plot, and then you just like fill in all the bits that make it make sense.
Yeah. That's actually kind of my huge process. Is I'll go through and I'll write like the dialogue for the entire book, and then the rest of the time is me filling it in. But anyway,
everybody just wants the smut email. You should have to kind of like, because I imagine you want to be like full-time author, although you do love doggy daycare. You should have like a £2 a month smut newsletter that goes out.
Just give you guys your weekly dose of smut.
Yeah.
Kennedy says, "Oh my, how do you keep organized?" You mean regarding the fact that I write the entire book out of order? If that's what you mean, like I'm able to name the scenes, and so that's how I know, which scene I'm clicking on, and then Scrivener is just an amazing writer's tool. Every section there's a space where you can do notes, a synopsis. Yeah, it's actually quite easy with that program.
Cool. Does anybody have any more questions before we wrap this up?
I saw one at I just missed it.
Smut subscription box. That's what
do you read something else than The Royal Assassin?
I think
is that a book?
I think
that's aimed at me.
Okay. I was like, I haven't heard of that book even.
It is the second book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb.
Oh, very cool.
You wouldn't like them. They're very, very slow. And they're like 600 pages plus. Really slow. Really depressing though, so you might like that.
What are you saying?
You like pain. You thrive on pain.
I thrive on your pain, not mine.
What fantasy world would you live in?
It'd have to be like a really nice world where bad things don't happen. Is that a thing?
Not in fantasy. Oh no, there's children's series I mentioned earlier, Nevermore. Like bad things happen, but it's just such a lovely world.
I mean, I don't think the world of The Giver is too shabby.
Really?
I'm just kidding. No. I have no idea. They're all terrible. Bad things happen in all of them.
I think I'm always just like, can I choose which point I live at?
Before bad things start. Have you ever read your books to the dogs? I have not. No.
I used to read to my dog. I can't say she cared, but I enjoyed it. Oh, actually, no. When I was a kid, we had a Rottweiler, a massive Rottweiler, and I was a baby. And I used to sit on top of her in her basket and read books to her out loud. So I have a history of reading books to dogs.
Do you want me to read you some smut? Yeah. Do you have needs?
All the dogs are coming now.
I'm uncomfortable.
Everybody wants the smut.
Well, I do have a newsletter, guys. No, that's a lie. I have a place where you can sign up for a newsletter, and I don't send it out. I'm busy writing books.
So we said, if you guys were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things would you take?
I would take my 2 dogs, and then I would probably take my iPad. Is there a plug-in at this island?
Yeah. So I was thinking I was going to say my Kindle. It's got a lot of books on it, but can I charge it?
Yeah, like we need more parameters. We read books.
Whenever I get questions like this, I'm always like, wait, can this happen? Can this happen? Like I need some
rules. You need rule building here.
Well, I don't even know what I would say because I'm like,
you are delightful as well, Rachel.
I would take my Kindle.
What are you doing? Would you guys go to Hogwarts if you got a letter?
Am I too old?
Or are you asking because of the Rowling stuff that's been happening?
Oh god, yeah, there is that trash writer.
Yeah. That's a tricky. I mean, if all of that hadn't happened, heck yes.
Mm-hmm.
But now I do have I have quite a lot of issues supporting the fandom now. So I don't know.
I would happily go to a magical castle to learn magic.
Yeah, I would go to a magical magic school. I would go to. Preferably one not created by her, but I mean, who doesn't want to go to a magic school? Mm-hmm. Am I too old? By such a vibe. Yeah.
We apparently don't have chargers.
Oh, well, not my Kindle. And what can I take then?
Rachel's just said to bring a solar-powered battery charger, though, so...
Oh, that is a great idea, right? Solar-powered battery charger.
But then the question is, how long are we on this island?
Oh, that's a good point.
True.
I think a solar-powered, oh my god, what are they called? One of these, a solar-powered one of these, a power bank, that's what they're called.
Right,
a USB wire, and my Kindle. My 3 items.
Nobody is considering food. We're all just going feral and foraging.
And
That would
then
work for me because it'd be fish, and I like fish and fruit, I imagine. I'm gonna guess there's some trees there.
And then this will have to be our last question because I feel like I don't know how long we were planning on doing this. We didn't really set a time, but Kennedy, would you ever voice your own audiobook? Never in a million years would I do that. Is the answer. I am not an actress. I do not do well, trying to take on a role or recite lines. It's very cringy. So I know my strengths. Do you two have anything else?
I don't think so.
I did a good job not doing spoilers.
It's true.
Yeah.
What have you got, Ash?
Huh?
What have you got?
I'm just saying there's just one more question in the thing saying what book are you loving this year?
Oh. My favourite book of the year is still Crescent City, but it would always be.
I love how we both read that in like January and then we just sad because we were like, nothing's going to beat this for the rest of the year and we know that now.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
You killed Colin and you cut Smart, like you hurt us.
I will tell you this. This is not a spoiler. I am a person who really prefers happy endings in both of my reading and my writing life. So
we just have to suffer through
that. And then I like to give you some pain along the way. And not everybody gets happy endings because that's not life. But
what is the quote that was at the beginning of the book, the Sylvia Plath one that I just read it and I was like, no.
It is, I desire the things that will destroy me in the end.
Yeah. I was like, why?
I'm sorry, you guys. I know I just cannot write them faster. Like for Deadly Dreams, like that was the longest book I've ever written, 163,000 words, and I wrote that in 9 months. And for me, that is incredibly fast. So I'm doing it for you. That's how much I love you guys.
Oh, here we go. Leah has Fortuna Sworn as a contender for Crescent City.
Yes! I can't believe I beat out Crescent City! We're tied. I'll take it.
I will say, like, the title of my vlog where I'm reading that, I was just like, this is a book slump savior. Like, I was just not feeling anything for months. And then I was like, Fortuna Sworn! And I'm really not, like, I don't rate books 5 stars all that often. And both of yours have got it, which is...
I really hope I just don't disappoint you now.
The vlog that I read, both Fortuna Sworn and Restless Slumbering, because I went back to back, is still my most viewed vlog ever. And I've gained like 10,000 subscribers since then. And it's still my most viewed vlog.
It's going to be super awkward if you're like, 2 stars, this one.
I just have to watch you on all social media and just pretend that, I don't know.
Also,
I went to a desert island. Like, sorry, no social media. Bye.
That's okay.
I'm already enjoying it a lot, and I like books that hurt me. And you promised me pain, so I think I'm gonna like it. Honestly, like the more upset something makes me, the more I love it. My favorite movies are things like Moulin Rouge and Titanic. Like, I like pain.
It was very kismet that we met.
Once Becca gave us a review. Oh, I've lost it. Once Becca gave us a review of Fortuna Sworn, I picked up both books and finished in 3 days.
Thank you guys. You're the best, all of you. I'm gonna leave this like in this vlog feeling all. Stream words are hard. I don't do good with yellow. I'm sorry.
Fortuna Sworn made me obsessed. I read Fortuna in a slump, and she saved me.
Am I gonna get these comments when the stream is over, or are they gonna disappear?
You can go.
It will still be there. You can watch when the live show goes up on my channel. There'll be like a little live chat button thing, and if you click to different points in the video, you can scroll through the comments from.
I want to be able to see everything you guys are saying.
Fortuna Sworn introduced me to the Fae world, and I'm so grateful. You have so many more Fae books to explore.
Yes, you do. I'm so glad. Like, this is just the gateway book.
Yeah, wow. A pretty good gateway book into Fae, actually.
Say that one more time.
It's a pretty good gateway into Fae.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of equivalent to me being introduced through Holly. But, all right, you guys.
Cool. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Kelsey, for being here.
Thanks for having me and for making me aware of the videos I will be watching of Gavin later tonight.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
And you guys, thank you so much for commenting and asking questions and for reading the books. I'm just like so touched, and yeah, I'm not gonna say anything else because I don't want to cry on a live stream. So
make sure you get Deadly Dreams in 2 days.
Oh yeah, all of the links to, I think there's 2 book depository links and an Amazon link in my description box for you guys if you haven't read them and you would like to pick them up. Would recommend, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this live show.
And then she'll make another video and be like, guys, Deadly Dreams sucked. This is super awkward. Don't worry.
I do a run review.
All right. Have a wonderful night, you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Right, we have the 10-second smile and wave while the broadcast ends.